Today I'm going to go over assignment number 7, which is titled Photoshop using the clone stamp tool. Remember that you can find all the information on Schoology if you click on materials, assignment number 7. This is what you will see. We are going to continue to learn specific Photoshop tools, and every tool that you learn will help you understand Photoshop a bit more. We're going to be using the clone stamp tool for this assignment, and the clone stamp tool paints one part of an image over another part of the same image that has the same color. I think I mentioned this before. It's like a way to fix something or remove a blemish, or like kind of like erase or fix something that you don't like in a specific picture. And so for this assignment, you're going to be using 3 of the images that I have included here below, and I've included a bunch of them, if you can see. So you're going to choose 3. You can only use the ones that I submitted. If you submit something from the internet, then I'm not going to give you credit for it. It has to be the images that I have, because these images have the watermarks, and that's what you're going to be working on today. So again, when you finish, make sure that you submit your 3 images on one canvas. So your canvas must be 8.5 by 11, and I'll go over it right now. All images must fit on one canvas, very similar to the past assignments, and you can only use the images that I've attached to this assignment. Pay close attention to the small details that each image has, and remember to click on the image and download it once. And I'll show you what to do right now, because otherwise it's going to look very pixelated. When you finish, save your work as a PDF and then attach it to Schoology. So I should only receive 1 file. So let's say that we're going to click on 1. The easiest one from all of these is the girl here, and it's easier to use this tool when it's cartoon images, because real images have a lot more structure to the face, and they have a lot more movement and different colors. For example, if you see the girl's face here at the bottom with the brown hair, her face is flat, so it's 2-dimensional. And then if you see the girl on the top, the 3rd picture, see how round her face is, because it's an actual portrait, it's an actual photograph. So she has a 3-dimensional face, and that alone it becomes really difficult. So the hardest ones are the face ones, and the easiest ones are the cartoon ones. But I do want you to try. You can do 2 cartoon ones and then 1 real one. It doesn't necessarily have to be the face. It could be a scenery. But I want you to at least try one of the real photographs, okay? And I'll add it. I forgot to add it here to the requirements, but I will. At least one should be a real actual picture, and it should only be the pictures that I have provided. Okay, so let's get started. You're going to open up Photoshop. Everyone should know how to do that. We're going to go to File. Actually, I forgot. Let me go over how to download the picture. So if I'm going to choose the girl, I'm not going to right click on top of this very small image because when you download it, it's going to be very pixelated and very small, so you don't want that. Remember, even if you're looking for something online or for something that I have attached, you click on it. Once it's enlarged, then you can right click. And if you cannot right click, if it won't download, most of the images that I have attached here at the bottom where it says download image, if you click on that, on a Mac it downloads here to the bottom, if you look at it, and on a regular PC I think it should download on the top. We have to drag it out. Remember, you always have to drag out the picture, and you just grab it and drag it out. It already has 1, so I'm just going to click on replace because I had already downloaded that. So remember, whichever pictures you choose, remember to click on the actual picture itself, then look at the bottom lower left hand and click on download image. Otherwise it's not going to look right. Okay, so let's get started. So now I'm going to open up a brand new page, File, Open, File New, because I'm trying to open up a new canvas. Make sure that it's 8.5 by 11. It can be Vertical or horizontal, that's up to you. And remember, we always go with inches. You don't have to title it, that's fine. Everything else stays the same. So 8.5 by 11, and we click OK. Now you're going to have your canvas. Remember, I mentioned in the past, you need to unlock the background. So how do you do that? Again, you just double click on it and click OK, and that unlocks the background. You're going to have a white paper. I'm not very fond of the white paper. I'll erase it later. For the purpose of this assignment, we're going to be using several tools. Remember, this is your toolbox. It should be on the left-hand corner. If for whatever reason your program does not have a toolbox, don't worry. You go up to the top, and I mentioned this before, Window, Tools, and it'll appear. Everything that you need is here. It's just that it cannot have all of them open because you're not even going to be able to have a work area. Layers is the same. If you can't find your layers, you go to Window, Layers, and it should be there. What are we going to do now? Don't drag your picture in there because you're going to do double the work. So you go to File, Open, click on the picture that you want, make sure it's a JPEG, open it. Remember, every single time you open a new picture in Photoshop, it will open up in a brand new canvas. What am I going to do? I'm going to copy it and paste it to my first canvas that I have the right size. So again, what do? I select it all, Control A. I copy it, Control C, and then I go back to my previous canvas and paste it, Control V. V as in Veronica. Remember, again, it's the same step, the same 3 steps that you did for the other assignments. You should already know how to do this. If you want to select the whole image, it's Control A. If you want to select, then once you select it, Control A, and you know that you've selected it because it's shimmering in the corners, like the whole box. So Control A to select everything. Control A is select all. Control C will copy it because we're trying to copy something. And then we go back to our previous canvas and we paste it, Control V. So now, you don't need to erase the background. You don't need to do anything, but you do need to get rid of, and I grabbed onto my zoom feature, my zoom tool. You need to get rid of the Shutterstock. Okay, so we're trying to use the clone stamp. And what the clone stamp does is it basically will grab colors that already exist within the picture, and you will cover like all the words that you want to erase or any blemishes that you might find in a picture. That's what the clone stamp is there for. It's really cool. It actually also clones, just like what clones means. It'll clone the entire picture on one side if that's what you want. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to get rid of the lines here. And we're trying to get rid of the word Shutterstock, but we're also trying to keep the girl intact the way she was. Okay, so what am I going to do first? I'm going to look for my clone stamp, which in my toolbox, it's like halfway down, and it literally looks like a little stamp if you look at it. And if you put your mouse on top, it'll say clone stamp tool. So I click on that, right? And remember, if you can't see it, that just means that there's probably a tool within that tool, and if you click really hard, it'll say pattern stamp. You don't want that. You want the clone stamp. Click on the clone stamp. It should give you a circle. You could definitely make it smaller because you're going to have to make some of the parts smaller and some of them larger. So remember, every single time you click on a tool, whatever features it has are usually up on the upper left hand corner. So you're going to click on 35. I don't like to use that fuzzy one. I like to use the solid block circle white. Click on that. And then obviously my tool is way too big, so I'm going to move it to the left to make it smaller. I think that's a good size. Okay, so now see, if I click on it, it says could not use the clone stamp because the area to clone has not been defined. So the first thing you need to do is you need to define what piece of image you want to use. So I want to get rid of this line here. I'm going to use this brown because her hair is brown. So I'm just using the colors that already exist within my image. And how is it that I define a specific section with my clone stamp? It's really easy. You click on the Alt key. You see how it changes? It goes from being a wide, thick circle to like a smaller circle with like a cross. That means that section you're defining. So with your mouse, you're going to click on the Alt key and then kind of like circle around it just a little bit. You're indicating this is what I need, and then you're going to let go of the Alt key. You're just going to do it 1, 2, 3 seconds. You want that section, let go. See, Alt, let go. And then you're going to come here to your image that you want to erase, and you're going to click on it. Now, do you see, once you define it, the circle is on the bottom and then the plus sign is on the top. That just means that whatever the plus touches, the circle copies. You see how it's erasing? So if I go out, it's going to copy the pink. And I don't want to do that. So I click on Control Z. So what I like to do is I like to keep my plus sign close enough to the circle where I can manipulate and see both of them, but not let it touch. So I'm going to move, and wherever you define, that's where it starts. So if I define that I want this piece and I let go, that's where my plus starts. If I define my piece here on this side, that's where my plus starts there. So wherever you start defining, that's, see? And so if I want it here and I let go, that's where it starts. So if I want it, I'm going to click here, click on the Alt key, let go. And now my plus and my circle are close enough, but they're not touching and they're following each other. So it's kind of like a little game that they play. They follow each other. Remember, whatever the plus is touching, the circle will copy it. So now I'm going to go really slowly and then I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to go to this line and I'm constantly moving, defining the space that I want because otherwise it's just going to copy everything. So I'm moving and I'm defining on this little section here with the Alt key. I let go, and now slowly, as I'm doing this, I'm watching both things. I'm seeing how the circle is working, and I'm also looking at the plus sign. Never let go of the plus sign, because if you do, then you're gonna start copying other things. And let me zoom out so I can show you. This is what I mean by copying. So let's say that I want to define this, and I start copying it here, you see? It literally clones everything, but that's not what I want. I want to erase a certain section. I want to clone it with the brown. So now the lines are not there. The line is here at the bottom. I want to zoom in. It's important that you always zoom in because you want to see what you're doing. So I click on the clone step again. I think that my stamp is large, so I'm going to make it smaller. Again, I'm going to click on the Alt key here. That's the brown that I want, keeping in mind that I'm still looking at the plus, because once the plus touches another color, that color is also going to show. So I'm always moving it away, close enough but far away that they don't touch, because if the plus and the circle touch, nothing is going to happen. So now I've erased that. I'm going to zoom in to the eye, and I'm going to attempt to get rid of all of this. You have to be careful because now you not only have brown, you have the skin color and then the white. Okay, the white, if you look at it, it's too zoomed in. If you look at the white, it has like a little piece of gray shadow here. So I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to grab onto my clone stamp. Obviously, my circle is humongous. That's not what I want. I want to make it a lot smaller. Maybe this side will work. This side will work. Click on the clone stamp. I want to use the white of her eyes to get rid of this little section. So I hold and click on the Alt key. I move it a little bit because I'm defining my space, and I let go. And now I'm removing the white. Again, they're close, but they're not touching each other. And you always have to keep in mind to watch the plus, because as soon as the plus touches the brown, then you're gonna copy brown. So you let go. I'm gonna move on. This, because it's, you know, it's the way it's downloaded, it's a little bit pixelated. It should be solid, like a solid skin color. But I kind of like to use this piece over here because it's clean and it's the one color. So I want to get rid of all of this, and I want to use this. So again, I'm going to click on the Alt key because that's what I want. I'm going to let go, and I'm cleaning her eyes. Make sure that you do not erase her eyebrows, because even though they're very thin and they're not very popular right now because thick eyebrows are in, or maybe they're not anymore, I have no idea. You don't want to erase her eyebrows. So again, I'm doing it slowly. It's like you're putting on makeup or something in this. Sometimes these programs pause. I think it's just saving. Hold on. There you go. So again, I'm just moving. And again, I'm watching where the plus is, because the plus is what's going to give me the color. And I'm slowly moving in. Slowly. And now, and I've used this area here because to me it's a clean area. Once you zoom out, you really can't see. So then I'm going to use this again. And how is it that I select and define what I want? I click on the Alt key and that'll give me a circle and a plus all together. And I just kind of click a little bit with my mouse. I'm defining the space. I let go and that's where the plus starts. Wherever you start defining, that's where the plus starts. Okay? So if I go over here, again, as I'm doing it, I'm always watching my plus. Once I let go of the plus, then I'm not being cautious and I cannot see what I'm doing, because if I go even further down, what's going to happen? The brown of the eyebrow is going to copy. So I don't want to do that. I'm always shifting. I'm always pushing the plus away, but always keeping it close. Again, I want to use the white to get rid of this. And I need to make my clone stamp small, so you're going to have to change it and make it smaller. So how do I make it smaller? I go up to the upper left-hand corner and I just change the size. I'm going to use this white to cover this. You need to think, what colors do I need to use to cover the space that I need? For this specific little gray section, I need to use the white. So I'm using white. For this section, I need to use the brown. I'm defining my space and then I use the brown, right? And I go in. That's why it's really easy to clone something that is two-dimensional, that has like that one color. Like the actual face has so many different tones and tints and shades, and so it's really hard to do it. I strongly recommend that you start off with this girl or with an easy coloring, like a cartoon one, the ones that I've provided, and then you move forward. You feel more comfortable. Eventually, you will get the hang of it, and it's a little bit tricky at the beginning. And I understand that I'm not there, but again, it's once you get it, you get it. You click on the clone stamp, which looks like a little stamp. Remember, how do I define my space? I click on the Alt key, and then with the mouse, I click a little bit just around it, and I let go. I let go of the Alt key, and then I start copying. So what it's doing is it's copying the color. Whatever the plus touches, the circle copies it, and they follow each other. The plus follows the circle. Don't let them get too close, because once they're too close to each other, then you're not really doing anything. Okay? Then, see? Then I'm going to move on and try to use the... I always think, what's the cleanest solid color that I could use? It's here. Define my space. And I just start cleaning. And if you mess up, that's okay. You mess up, you try it again. You try to define another space. Okay? This comes in really handy when you're trying to fix a picture, or when you have a picture of yourself and sometimes we get little pimples or little blemishes. This is definitely a tool to use, and I think it's great. It also eliminates a lot of things. If you really want a picture and you just need to fix it a little bit, it clones. It literally like erases a lot of the mistakes or the things that you don't want in your image. See, so if I zoom out, how do I zoom out? I click on the zoom feature tool here, and then for you guys, I think it's either Control or Alt, and it should give you a minus sign. That's how you zoom out. Okay, so I've done part of her eye. Let me just finish it since I'm already doing this. I'm going to make my circle a little bit larger, because once I zoom out, the circle becomes smaller. So then I click, what space do I want? And now I did all her hair, and I just need to work on her eye. I'm zooming in. That's too much. I like to zoom in because I like to see what I'm doing, and I'm blind, so this is way too big. So I'm going to definitely make it again. I think it was on 5. Yeah, so I'm using the brown, or you can even use this brown, because if you look at her eye, it's the exact same color. Just be careful, because if you don't pay attention to the plus, you're going to have all these other issues. You're going to have all the other colors showing. So see, I'm carefully erasing, and I need to use a smaller brush there. And I'm still keeping in mind that the plus is still around the brown. And now I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller. See if it works now. I'm defining my space, and I'm going to go in here and just click. And now I have, well, I need to do this piece right here. Make sure that you do all the pieces that you need. Okay. Try not to erase her poor thin eyebrows that she has. There you go. So I have my picture. I've erased, I've cloned all the lines that it has, the X's and the watermarks, and now I can save it. How do I save it? I go to File, Save As. Remember, it's important that you save two different ones. The Photoshop one for yourself that you're going to upload to your drive, because you never know when you're going to use it, or you never know if I don't get it, if you've attached it in a separate way. You should have the Photoshop. For now, I only need to see the PDF. Unless you want to attach the Photoshop, that's fine. You don't need to label it, but you do need to make sure that it says .psd, because if it's not PSD, that means that it lost the extension, and then when I open it, I won't be able to open it. So again, where do I save it? To the desktop. It's always important that you save everything to the desktop, and then Format. Make sure it's Photoshop. It should be the first Photoshop. When you save your first file, then click Save. I want you to download I want you to save this specific assignment as a PDF. You're going to lose points if you don't. Remember, I've told you it's important that I show you how to save in different formats. So once you save it as a Photoshop and you attach it to your drive for your personal use, then you're going to go again and click on Save As, where Desktop, and then you click and look for JPEG, and then you save it. Once you save it, that's the one you're going to attach to Schoology. But it must be, all three of your images must fit on one canvas. So again, if I already finished this one, I'm going to click Control T. That changes the size. Hold and keep pressing on the Shift key. And then grab onto the anchor points in the corner and make her a little bit smaller. And then it doesn't matter where you place them, as long as I could see all of them. Then you click Enter or Return, and that's your first one. If this bothers you, if the white paper bothers you, you can just get rid of it. I don't know. I have a hard time with the white paper, so I click on it and I throw it all the way to the bottom where the little trash can is. So I have my girl layer. What am I going to do next? File, Open. Look for my next picture that I already downloaded. Again, I'm going to open it, and it's going to open in a brand new file because it always does that. Control A to select everything, Control C to copy, come back to my untitled work, Control V to paste, and then with the white arrow, I'm just going to move it down a little bit, and I will start working on this. This one is a little bit harder because it's a real image, but again, if you look, you need the reds, you need the blues, you need the darker blues. I would start off with the lines, and then I would move forward. And again, zoom into little sections, and don't think about it as a whole. Think about it as a small little section. This is a little bit too small. Let me try to make my tool a little bit larger, just a bit. And what am I going to do? I'm going to define my space. Again, once I have my clone stamp, I click on Clone Stamp tool. How do I define my space? I hold and press the Alt key. And then this is the little space that I want to copy. I let go. And I just start copying that. And it'll just copy everything. Again, keep in mind and make sure that you're following where the plus is. Because once the plus touches another color, then the circle will copy it. So if I want to color this in, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Then I'm going to grab onto my clone stamp. I like to go up and down. So when it's stuff like this, I don't go across. I go up and down. So I want to use this little section, which I can make my brush a little bit smaller. I want to use this part of the trunk to erase this line. define my space, let go, and there. And see how I'm just kind of moving up and down, and I kind of messed up a little bit, so I'll add more brown there. And I just move forward. If I want to use this for this, I do the same thing here. I clone it there, and then I use this and I clone it here. I think about it vertically. This entire line here has the same color. This entire line here has the same color. So as I'm working, I move up and down when it's stuff like this that has these type of lines. With the other girl, it didn't matter because it was the same color. But as I'm moving forward and I want to get rid of this, so I'm going to use this space here. See? Always keeping in mind where is my plus, because once my plus touches something else, guess what? It's going to erase it. If you feel like you've tried your best and something went wrong, because it might go wrong, especially when it's a real picture, remember in the other assignment I showed you the tool that looks like a little hand that's like smudging, smearing something. Once you finish, you can click on the smudge tool, and then you can try to smooth it out a little bit like this, and no one will ever tell. So you can use the clone stamp, and if you realize, oh, it's way too pixelated, I think I messed it up, but I could fix it a little bit, use the smudge tool and smooth it out a little bit like this. It'll smooth out your image, and then at the end you really can't see. So I'm gonna stop here just to remind you again, it must be 8.5 by 11. All 3 images must fit. It's okay if they don't fit. You know, if I can't see all 3, as long as I see 3 layers. Let's say that I want to add this picture again. Select it all, copy it, and I paste it. As long as I see the 3 layers, and then you do this at least. If you don't want to make them smaller, you can. Control T, you don't have to, like that. I can see your layers. Actually, no, I need to see the entire picture because you're submitting it as a JPEG. So you need to make sure that you fit all 3 images on one canvas. And your canvas can definitely be horizontal or vertical. And let's say that right about now you realize that your pictures are not going to fit and you want to make your canvas horizontal. Again, go to Image, Canvas Size, 11 by 8.5. And then I click on it and then click Proceed. And now I have my picture. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to, I can make the girl a little smaller. I can make this one a little smaller if I want to. And I'll push it up. So I need to see your 3 pictures, definitely, because I do want you to attach it as a JPEG. So you can make them smaller, you can make them a little bit larger. It's up to you, as long as they could even be like this close together, that's fine. Just don't make them super tiny, okay? So when I see it, I'll be able to zoom in and see that you've erased, you know, all the blemishes and all the watermarks, the lines and the Shutterstock or whatever. I don't know what else I wrote erase me. Try at least 1 real image. If you want to tackle the face one, go for it. I would definitely use the cartoon one to begin with so you can practice, okay? Once you have all your 3 pictures, you do not need to label them or anything. I just need to see that you did the work. Then you go to File again, Save As. Make sure you save it as a Photoshop for your purpose to keep it in your drive, and then save another file as a JPEG. So where Desktop, Format, JPEG, then save it, and then attach that to Schoology so I can grade it, okay? Hoping that this tutorial will help you a little bit. Remember, we're using the clone stamp, and it literally looks like a little stamp, and all you need to know is that whatever the plus touches, the circle will copy it. So how do I get and activate it? I have to click on the Alt key to define the space that I want. And then remember, wherever the plus is, the circle will copy it. Try not to let the circle and the plus touch, because then you're not doing anything. And once you finish, you just submit them. Okay, hopefully this tutorial will help you. You can always fast forward or rewind in certain sections, and we'll talk this week in class in case you have any issues. Okay, otherwise, have fun using the clone stamp, and I look forward to seeing your assignments. Goodbye.